Welcome. Thank you for joining us for this session on SIPC for prescribers provided by Medi-Rent. I'm Jen Sanderson. I'm a physiotherapist and work in a clinical advisory role for Medi-Rent, in addition to running a small private practice in Queensland. So today I'm joined by our marketing manager, Nicola. Now, Nick is going to manage the Q&A written responses whilst I'm talking. So feel free to ask any questions at any time. And on that just reminds me, bring your attention to the Q&A feature of the platform. So you will find on the Zoom controls that there's a chat function that's been disabled, or we're not watching it, and then there's a Q&A function. So use the Q&A function to lodge your questions, and if Nicola can answer them straight away, then she will. Otherwise, I'll either address the question at the end of the presentation or contact you individually outside of the session. So this webinar is going to be recorded and we'll post it on Medi-Rent's Learning Hub in the coming weeks. Okay. Okay, now this session is intended for health professionals that have already got basic knowledge on compression pump products. So if you're seeking more introductory information, I'd recommend accessing the Medi-Rent Learning Hub for other recordings and resources, but obviously do it after this session, not during. Okay, now this presentation coincides with the release of the new Medi-Rent SIPC ordering catalogue with new size charts. So historically, Medi-Rent has handled sizing and sleeve selection in-house through our customer service team. So the release of this document will mark a change in long-standing processes, but also it allows therapists to have more information to guide their product selection. So I'm hopeful that this will be a positive change for the business. In overview, I will cover a brief comparison between Medi-Rent compression pumps devices, including the LF900, biocompression, bioarterial, and DVT Pro devices, and then move on to the individual product types and brands with some extra information. So I hope that you walk away knowing the differences between SIPC devices and sleeves, some considerations for selecting the right product, for a range of clinical presentations, and better understand how to measure a client for a compression pump sleeve. So some of you will have seen this slide before in the many presentations that Medi-Rent have done. So SIPC is a pneumatic compression pump or control box that's attached to inflatable sleeves. So the pump fills the sleeve with air and that exerts a pressure on the body within the sleeve. What you may not have seen is that there are 4 different pumps and sleeve options on this slide. So all of them are classed as SIPC, but each are very different in the device parameters and the sleeve construction. So the devices differ for all of the settings listed below, including your pressure, cycle time, the duration settings, and the modes. To understand what device is right for the clinical application, we need to address the individual components. So let's start with sleeve construction. So sleeve construction represents the internal construction of the sleeve and the distribution of pressure on the skin surface, but also it represents the area of the body that is covered by the sleeve. Second is the device function. So we need to consider the settings parameters. How does the pump work? How does that function impact the region of the body that's being compressed locally? And are there any systemic effects? So understanding the combination of the sleeve construction and the device function are essential for selecting the right device for the clinical application in front of you. So not all compression pumps are the same. So from left to right, we have the biocompression, LF900, bioarterial, and DVT Pro devices and sleeves. The biocompression and LF900 devices are similar in that they are full coverage sleeves. So the leg on the left shows a regular size leg, and on the right is the distribution of pressure on the limb with half leg sleeves. And that's all marked in green. So note that the green is everywhere. So wherever the sleeve covers the limb is being compressed. So full coverage sleeves are intended to facilitate circulation by squeezing excess fluid from the superficial tissue space toward the vessels. From studies using ICG, we know that full coverage sleeves increase lymph and venous uptake and vascular flow rate. But also, if there's swelling, we need sequential compression with multiple air chambers to promote directional fluid movement proximally. So these sleeves have a local effect on the area of the body that is covered by the sleeve, but also they have a systemic effect on circulation because they're that good at facilitating lymphovenous return. So for this reason, you should be cautious using full coverage sleeves on clients with renal, respiratory, or cardiac impairments. The Bioarterial and DVT Pro systems have partial coverage sleeves. As opposed to the full coverage sleeves, the pressure distribution is localized and targeted to the lower leg region. The bioarterial system is specifically intended for peripheral arterial disease symptoms and wounds. So the short duration, high pressure inflation cycle instigates local changes to the deep popliteal vein at the back of the calf and the plantar venous plexus under the foot. Which promotes long-term changes to peripheral circulation by generating that demand for arterial blood supply locally, resulting in collateral vessel growth. Now, on the right is the DVT Pro pressure distribution. So it's specifically intended for DVT prophylaxis. The coverage is located to the calf with the intent to promote circulation and prevent blood pooling. The black lines indicate the gaps in pressure distribution. So this type of sleeve would not be suitable for anyone who has pre-existing edema in the lower legs. Now, bringing the device options back side by side, let's have a look at the illustrations of sleeve chamber construction and the resulting pressure distribution on the skin surface. So the illustration, hopefully you can see my cursor. The illustration, these black lines show the air hose, and then the blue lines are kind of the outside of the sleeve and the inside of the sleeve. And then the air chamber or the partitions and the way that they're constructed in each of the garments is represented between those two lines. And then we have the pressure distribution on the skin surface illustrated there in the green and graphs. Okay, now the biocompression has a baffle sleeve design, and so it offers the full circumferential compression with consistent pressure along the limb contour. The LF900 also offers that full circumferential compression with an overlapped design, and this does lead to some minor interruption to the pressure distribution, but it still has a good full circumferential compression. The bioarterial has a partial coverage sleeve with localized compression and device function combination that's intended to work locally. And the DVT Pro also has that partial coverage sleeve. It's intended to facilitate circulation to prevent DVT locally, where the distribution low pressure peaks and troughs in the sleeve are really non-consequential so long as there's no pre-existing edema.